Week 2. Persia and the Greeks. Though many Greek states saw Persia as a massive and mortal enemy, at first the Persians were hardly aware that Greece existed at all. When we consider the extent of the Persian Empire, we can see that it stretched from the mountains of Afghanistan, through Mesopotamia, the cities of Lebanon and Phoenicia, and across both sides of the eastern Mediterranean, taking in the Anatolian Peninsula, which is the modern Turkey, in the north, and the Egyptian desert up to Cyrene in the south and west. By comparison, the combined city-states of the Greek mainland were well under a 20th of Persia's size, population, or wealth. In fact, when the mainland Greeks first came to Persian attention, through an audacious but unsuccessful raid on Persian forces in Asia Minor, the Persian king had to order a servant to remind him each evening who these annoying people to the west were, so that he could make plans to deal with them. Nor is it fair to say that 5th century Persia was in any way less sophisticated than Greece in art or architecture. Though Persepolis, the imperial capital, is today in ruins, its size and wealth in its day far exceeded both Athens, Thebes, or Corinth, which were the most impressive Greek cities of their day. As well as Persepolis, the Persians had major cities located along the Royal Road, a highway which made up the spine of their empire in the west. This road started at the western capital of Sardis in Lydia, and passed through Arbela in Assyria, before finishing at Susa, not far from modern Baghdad. The Persians themselves believed in the god Ahura Mazda. Their religion was probably the first known monotheistic religion in the world, though it is uncertain exactly when the religion was founded by the prophet Zarathustra. His name means yellow camel, and shows that the bearer was of a well-off family, in the same way that Greek aristocrats had names such as Philhippos or Xanthopus, meaning horse-lover and yellow horse, respectively. However, the Persians were not religious crusaders, and were generally content to allow the peoples whom they conquered to continue with their own religion, and in many cases their own government as well, though they found the democracies of the Greek subject cities in Asia Minor a bit extreme for their taste. The Greek hoplites, with their heavier armour and close combat skills, had a poor opinion of the Persians as soldiers. And in their art they are fond of showing the Persians as weak and effeminate. However, it's worth noting that in almost every military action before Alexander, the Greek military tactic was to pick a good defensive position and let the Persians come on to them. Certainly the Greek cavalry was no match for the Persian, either in numbers, arms, or ability. Today, through art and archaeology, we're beginning to see the Persians more as they saw themselves, rather than through the distorted lens of the Greek experience. Naturally, the Greeks identified with those aspects of Persian culture which were closest to their own, and much else they misinterpreted. So, for example, the fact that women in the Persian royal families had considerable power, lands, and administrative control was somewhat confusing to the firmly misogynistic Athenians, who could only imagine that these women exercised such power because they were manipulative harpies who had their husbands twisted around their finger. In future years, constant military and commercial contact would lead to some understanding of the other's viewpoint, and these days we know there is a much greater Asian component to Hellenism than was realized 100 years ago.